What's happening, Flow State Jedis? Welcome back to the channel. This one is for women, to ask them, what do men really want? Okay, of course, I'm sharing my own opinions and perspectives on this. I'm a flow state coach. My name is Sumat Chatterjee. I hope you feel your best and perform your best. Now, I've coached and trained and healed a lot of women in my life, and I've understood certain patterns. Something that's very, very powerful that I've noticed is once women focus on bettering themselves in terms of their own health and looking better, right? Now, genetically, that is very, very powerful for you to do. Things like knowing how to do your makeup well, having healthy, clear skin, large eyes. It depends on culture too, right? So different cultural contexts. So just because I say some of these things and they don't refine well in your culture, there's obviously differences in beauty in every different culture. So, you know, of course, there's hip to waist ratio, youth indicators, as well as health indicators. And I would also say a certain smell. So if as a woman you buy a as a woman, if I was a woman, okay, I would buy the most expensive perfume that I can that would be related to my brand, like who I am and what I stand for. And how can you find your brand? Shiva, in a sense, okay? So we call it brand Shakti in Primal Sutra, right? So we say brand Shakti is like your divine counterpart. So you want to attract your brand Shiva, in a sense. So what kind of man are you most attracted to? What type of man are you most attracted to? That is going to determine the attraction switches that you use as a woman. There's a very, very important quiz for you to do, okay? It's womenlovepower.com, okay? Go and find out what your feminine seductive archetype is. By knowing what that is, you can play up that character and that persona to such a great extent that you will start to actually pull in that energy and that frequency. We used to actually have a program back in the day called the Goddess Keys. If you're interested in that, let me know. Basically, it is for integration of one of your feminine archetypes that you're really looking into, right? Number one, I would say have a unique style. Whenever I look at women, what draws me to them is that they have a very, very unique style that is different from other women. In the art of seduction, you notice that characters like, you know, Cleopatra so you want to have some ratios in mind, okay? Your maturity and playfulness have got to match. Your caring and loving nature with your confidence have to be in a good ratio, okay? 50-50, okay, 60-40, somewhere in between, okay? Don't go very less on one and very less on the other. It's going to be very, very complex for you. So you want to create something called Allure. Allure is the feminine version of charisma. So the male version would be charisma, the feminine version would be called allure. So you want to gain as much allure as you can as a woman on this planet. The way you do that is you significantly work on playing to your strengths and something that I like to call theatricality. Now, men don't like drama queens in a sense. When I say theatrical, I mean more so like Cleopatra would put on her makeup and do it a little bit different than other women. The eyeshadow differently. She'd use these adornments and jewelry, right? In a very specific ways. Think about this, right? The whole beauty industry and cosmetic industry is there for you to attract men, right? So you just have to find the type of man that you're really looking for, right? As a man, I'm looking for a woman who would be more so affectionate as well as reliable. Reliable in the sense of not the fact that she's doing everything for me, but if I call on her or if I need her support in something, because teamwork is what we're really looking for in terms of an interdependent relationship, right, between male and female. So you can't be so try-hard as a woman, okay? You can't be so clingy as a woman, calling and texting him so many times, okay? And that's going to turn him off, okay? You want to have this kind of insinuation quality, okay? And I think that if you as a woman increase your intuition levels, how to be more intuitive as a woman, how to be more in my own body as a woman, okay? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Embodiment for women is very, very sexy and very, very alluring, let's just say. So are you consciously in your own body, or are you the type of woman who goes up and overthinks a lot and goes up into her mind? Okay. Maybe if you're doing data science, or if you're doing some kind of like blogging or something like that, you might be using your mind a lot. So as a woman, I would definitely get into nature and connect with your intuition, connect with nature. Sexy is a yes, flirtatious is a yes, slutty and being ratchet is a no-no, okay? You want to be subtly sexual. You don't want to overtly be sexual, okay? If it's very in your face, you see, a man gets attracted like a light switch, right? Where as you women watching, you know that it takes you a little bit of time for you to get the engine going, right? It's like you need to wait and you need to let the crescendo build for the music. Understand that if you're an attractive woman already and you're getting certain results and, you know, attention from men, you already know that your feminine wiles work, right? How does it work? I think that something that women need to consider is being in a sisterhood, okay? Having your group of girlfriends where you can gain solace. Because let's say a man, you know, messes you over, or, you know, does certain things, and you go through, you know, different situations in life, you can always fall back to your sisterhood. Another thing that you got to look at in terms of very attractive qualities, basically healing yourself, okay, from your past traumas and things like that. I would say the biggest flex is like a healed conscious woman. Wow, that's next level, right? Because then you're not projecting all your insecurities onto the man. If you have bad experiences with men, you aren't like carrying that around with you through every other guy. If you have issues with your father, you know, you're not going around with that same issue in every other man that you meet and projecting it onto him. So a fully healed woman is very, very attractive. It's giving the man less of a extra burden. He already has 1,000 different things that he's focusing on. If he also has to be your healer and your therapist, it might put a lot of pressure on him, since sometimes we don't know how to react or what to do in certain situations like this. You have to put yourself through a process. Focus on getting good at speaking to men in general, okay? And getting really good at understanding that a man's visual, where a man's eyes are going, right, is going to be very, very suggestive, okay? I've seen a lot of women make this mistake of showing that they're independent women, and that kind of actually pushes a lot of guys away. And I'm just being purely honest, you know, that whole boss babe mentality. It's cute, it's kind of endearing to a certain level where you're like, okay, she's trying to be entrepreneurial, she's having her own startup, she's doing her own thing, hey, that's cool. But if you're all like flaunting around boss babe energy, it's gonna push away a lot of men. So looks, personality, do that quiz, that archetype. I would say compete with other women, because that will also put your kind of like you on edge, like the masculine edge, but then there's also the feminine edge, right? The feminine edge is like competing with other women for one guy, or competing with other women in your workplace, you know? Just like getting that, like, who can look prettier that day and stuff like that, you know? So there's like this happening subconsciously already in a lot of cases. But if you can really amplify and own that, the fact that, yeah, there are other competition, there are other women out there, you know? So your unique style will really set you apart. You see what I'm saying? Like, they won't forget you. That doesn't mean that you wear glamorous costumes every day, but a subtle change in your natural look, right, creates that variety. And that little bit of that, you know, engagement, and that. I love women who can keep up with my sense of humor. And of course, I don't want to speak for all men, you know, in a sense of what they like. But I would say, so let me just say the type of woman that I prefer generally. So the type of women that I would prefer generally would be, first of all, associated more with the damsel in distress archetype, okay, which is the maiden. Now, that doesn't mean that I want her to be fragile, right? I don't want her to be so frail and weak that she, you know, blows in the wind or something. But I do love that innocence. I do love that gentle, caring nature. Basically, a good balance of healthy, good girl nature and bad girl nature, okay? It's the dark feminine and the light feminine together. How do they work together well? So I'm more so attracted to the maiden archetype. So because I have a sacral chakra path working, I'm very attracted to creativity. And the maiden has a very intense sacral power. So she has this sensuality to her, okay? Now, it's not overtly sexual though, it's very sensual, okay? It's just deeply embodied as a woman. She feels through her emotions in such a way where she can regulate her emotions too, but she's allowing herself to connect with her bliss body, okay? She can connect with her inner peace, she can connect with her bliss. And because I am a spiritual man, first and foremost, an omnist man, I do love to have more so spiritual women around me, okay? Some would say that women are spiritual by nature, right? In a sense where they're like the cosmic detectives, like I said. I also really like artsy girls, like girls who take time to really look after themselves in terms of their closet, you know, what they're wearing. I want her to have soft features, okay? Now, slightly sharp is okay, but mainly soft features, okay? Women who are too aggressive and angry are very, very unattractive, I would say, okay? So you need to work on transmuting your anger, okay? Whatever anger that you feel, I actually feel that every woman needs to read like these books like Surrender Experiment, Power of Now, you know, these types of books that kind of calm you down a little bit, like instead of like intensify you. And if you're getting into a lot of arguments with your man and just like in that rage and you're noticing that he's not playing in the masculine role, like, and that's pissing you off even more, you need to also work on your own energy, babe, right? You cannot be solely dependent on a man, and you cannot be solely dependent on yourself, too. It's an interdependence, remember, right? A lot of the times, women get so infatuated and wrapped up in their emotions that they take away from the actual logic at times, the logical mind at times. And I find that that is a big mistake, because if you're not looking at things objectively also, you're gonna get really, really overwhelmed a lot of your life, okay? So you need to look at what are the facts about the situation. What are the facts? What are the facts? And like come back to that, because that actually will make you resonate with the male mind a little bit more when you get to your objectivity instead of your subjectivity, right? Even though the world is completely subjective, okay? I think it's helpful to have some structure, okay, in a sense. And the man actually gives you the structure at times, but also understanding that how well you're adaptable, right? How versatile are you to merge with that structure and make it fun for you and adapt according to like what he's really looking for. Let's say that you're dating an athlete and you yourself aren't very athletic, right? And he keeps telling you like, oh, come on, let's work out, let's do this. It's like your interests aren't matching, you get what I mean? And if he spends time to actually care about you, like he would want you to do those certain things, right? And so it's really dependent. Every guy's different, right? No two men are the same. But let's say you want to attract the men in the top of the totem pole in a sense, right? The top of the dominance hierarchy, the alphas, the sigmas, right? You see a lot of women are out there and they're eye candy, but they're not soul candy. You get what I mean? Like, it's like, yes, you're very, very attractive and you have certain things that you do that make you very, very attractive. And, you know, doing your makeup, it is, I would say, like, don't overdo your makeup either, because a lot of women will overdo it, okay? A little bit of lip plump, okay, or lip gloss is fine. But if it's way too much, it looks very off-putting, right? And it looks like you're trying too hard with your makeup. Makeup is great, but with moderation. You got to understand how it works for you with your skin tone, you know, what kind of hairstyle you want to have. These are things that you got to be thinking about, okay? But doing that archetype quiz will help you, number one. Also understanding there's some archetypes in the art of seduction, like the siren, the coquette, right? These are elements that you could play up. I mean, it depends where you're located too, right? I've noticed that different women in different parts of the world have different values and different value systems, right? So that matters quite a bit to a man too, is that you match his values, right? If a man is fully about honesty and you're being dishonest to him, it's not going to be a good look, right? So you got to understand, what does he hold true to his world, right? What does he value? And then you got to understand, do my values match up with his? Obviously, having a high level of trust with a man is also very, very key. trust and communication are very, very key. Make sure that you're not speaking in a very, very deep voice. I mean, the raspy, husky voice can sometimes work, and it's a very rare quality when a woman can pull that off in a seductive way, like the Marilyn Monroe type morning voice, like when you just woke up type of voice. That's very, very powerful and attractive. But also you want to keep it very high pitched, not so high pitched that's like an operatic performer or like a banshee, but you guys get what I mean, right? Like high pitched voices are sexier for women, lower, deeper voices are more attractive for men. That's just a general rule, okay? Men are attracted to more youthful feminine features, or women are attracted to more high testosterone faces, right? So hey, what's up, bro? I mean, the thing about it is also like your hormones and health. So if you have a messed up hormone system, it's going to make you very lazy. It's going to make you impatient and, other things. So definitely looking after your health is going to be key. It's going to be number one, actually, to attract the man. I would say everything else after health and your health indicators would be secondary. Of course, having the archetype and understanding what kind of woman that you want to portray and be in your life, like from now until you're an old woman, right? Understand that there's a storyline that transforms over your life. Do you want to be like that your entire life, or do you want to transform and slowly be different as you age, right? And you've got to understand your core needs, okay? There's 6 core needs. Understand what yours are. Mainly for women, they prefer love and connection over significance. What I've heard from Tony Robbins is that women prefer love and connection. Men prefer significance as a core need. So start to understand that too, okay? You want him to feel significant, not just in his life, but in the relationship. Like he's doing things to contribute. You want to lightly tease him and challenge him, Don't overdo it. Don't like make fun of him, emasculate him, because a lot of women overdo that too. And then that's not a good look, because then it comes back to bite you, right? Like the whole idea of reincarnation, like you make fun of someone, like karma in your next life, like they reverse your gender role and it happens to you instead of the other way around or whatever, right? You don't know. Go for a color palette that's attractive to you. I love that kind of sundress kind of look, that the maiden look. Because men are so objective and we are visual creatures, we can sometimes objectify women, and I understand that. But I would say being genuine is really, really attractive, okay? Yeah, you can do some, BBL or some lip filler and stuff like that, okay? I would say do it because it makes you feel confident, and that confidence will give you a feminine glow or like a radiance. Women need to get a little bit uninhibited, I would say, okay? They're too trapped by the moral dogmas, like I'm being too sexy, I'm being too slutty, I'm being too, clingy, I'm being too codependent. You as a woman watching, you might have these fears too, like society's telling me I have to be like this. So if you show just even a little bit of bravery, okay? Just a little bit of cleavage, not too much, right? A little bit of a tighter dress, not too much. You slowly start to wean into that style. Suddenly, overnight, you're not going to just suddenly wear the most revealing clothing, right? But you want to create and engineer this kind of male fantasy. The male fantasy is this feminine, illustrious woman. She's almost like a force of nature. She's not a real human being. You get what I mean? Like she's like a storm. She's like a wave that passes or a gust of wind. I think these teasing challenges are sometimes very, very exciting to a man, okay? Just like with a smile or just like with a little smile on your face. Obviously, when you're teasing him, don't tease him directly. But if you're teasing him with a smile on your face and you're bantering with him, that's completely fine. Like that's actually a part of flirtation, right? And so if you do that and you know how to do that as a woman very well, it's going to definitely serve you. Another thing I would advise for you to do as a woman is stop suffocating your own expression, okay? I've seen a lot of women do this and it's not fun for the man, okay? We don't want you to completely suffocate and shut us out. We actually want you to speak your mind, but speak your mind in a loving, caring way, right? Don't speak your mind like you're just the most blunt, straightforward person. If you want to be a sophisticated, sensual woman, that's not sophisticated, right? Because we have such a strong male culture of like overperforming and like, constantly focusing on results and results and results and results, we take away from our own authenticity at times, right? Unless you're playing like a dandy archetype as a woman, I would avoid dressing too masculine, okay? Those giant baggy t-shirts and like, that stuff is okay if you have a boyfriend, right? And you don't want any other guys to look at you, okay? Then you go for the hoodie and the giant sweater and all that. That's fine, right? But if you're actually trying to attract men, that's not the way to go about it. This is a very, very deep topic, so I am going to leave it here. So yeah, thank you, Marina, for asking me this question. I will leave it here because this is quite a big topic and I could go on forever talking about this. But yeah, if you need any help one-on-one, anything that you're particularly looking for or you're struggling with, definitely let me know. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it. Let's create some Priestess beast. How about that? Let's go. Boom.